Good afternoon, level 1 AVTF students. Just wanted to check with everybody and make sure that we are all on the same page with the current assignment, the biography interview assignment that is due Friday. um, I've had a ton of questions and a ton of emails on this, which is awesome. I'm glad y'all are interacting and making sure that you're doing it the correct way. So today is day 7 of the project. You should be interviewing today. So we need to make sure that you've got that done. If you haven't, then you need to get that started. If you haven't made it to this point yet, as far as the amount of days that you've been working on it, then you need to step up your game and get your thing done, because this is due on Friday, and it will be a 100-point project grade, just like everything else has been in my class. And if it's not turned in, then your grade is going to suffer because of it. I haven't had any specific emails from anyone saying that they could not get some video app to work on their phone or anything like that. So I'm expecting everyone to have a video to turn in. If that's not the case, then you need to contact me ASAP, and we can figure something out. So I'm just going to share the screen here and just go over the thing really quickly. Just make sure that everybody understands what you're supposed to be doing. A lot of people have asked about this, the special item and things like that. That doesn't have to be anything special. It's basically just something that's special to that person. Like if you, interviewed me, I don't know. I don't have anything special sitting around. But I guess that mine would be, if you wanted to interview me, something that's special to me would be like my college diploma. It would be hanging in the background, or like, you can see Uga there when he wore black, or the arch there. Anything to do with the University of Georgia, because that's where I graduated from. So something like that. It doesn't have to be specific. It doesn't have to be special. They don't have to have like a superpower or something. They just need to have something that's special to them. But anyway, this right here is basically just day 1. You should have, talked to your subject and started working on your thing. This should have been copied to another Google Doc and submitted. And it should just be sitting there waiting for you to update it and continue to update it and all that. And then on Friday, you'll actually, submit it for a grade. Day 2, write your interview questions. Those were open-ended. I think I've already posted a video that talked about open-ended questions, and this right here covers it really well. What is your favorite color is a closed-ended question, because it basically just requires one answer. Whereas, you could find out what their favorite color is and then say, what is it about the color that intrigues you? So then it's going to lend itself to a better answer, and the better answers you have, the easier it is going to be for you to work on your B-roll footage and get everything together when you're editing. Day 3 was, personal items that tell your subject's story, and their story isn't necessarily, they went to war, or they, played in college football or something like that. It's just their story. You can interview anybody. I mean, I'm going to interview Rhett, and he is going to have a story of a 9-year-old. So it's not really going to be that interesting because he's 9. He hasn't done much with his life, but it's still his story. So when you're looking and when you're thinking about what to ask though for those questions, make sure that you're considering it's their story, not something that you want to tell. It's an interview. You're doing a biography on them. You're telling their story. Right here with a personal item. It's just something, and Natalie emailed me, Pierce emailed me and said, what about the special item? And my example was, like if I'm doing Rhett, he loves baseball. And so I would, use his baseball glove as his item, and to describe it and answer the question, or make an open question about that. Day 4 was add more questions, add 5 more questions. And then it says right here, what is it you want to know about this family member? You can use some of your own memories that you have of this family member. So like if I was going to have a memory of Rhett, his would be, he fell asleep on a chair one time when he was a baby, and he fell asleep. It was like a little small chair. And he fell asleep with his arms and his legs on the ground, and his neck and his head was in the seat of the chair. And he woke up and he had a really, really, really bad crick in his neck, and he couldn't talk yet. And I was like, hey, dude, what's wrong? And he was like, my neck. I mean, I was like, is it hurt? And he's like, uh-huh. So, I mean, that would be something, a memory that I have that he probably doesn't have because he doesn't necessarily remember that. But I have video of it. So that would be something that I could use in my interview as my B-roll stuff and have him talk about it. Or if he doesn't remember it, then I could talk, I could tell him what it was and let him watch the video and him react to it. That could also be in there. And these are just some example questions that you can ask about, that would give you a little bit more detail about them. Day 5 was last Friday. So review what you've written again, make any changes that you need to, like make your questions better. And at this point on Friday, you should have had 15 questions. And then if you have something to show them, like a video or a photo, like you needed to write it down what you were going to show them first, what is going to happen. Okay, yesterday was day 6. You should have been working on B-roll. And we talked about B-roll a little bit in class, but basically B-roll is just video of the things that are being talked about in the interview. So for example, you will use the audio from your video. So like your interviewee will still be talking, and you'll continue to use that audio, but the video that will be playing will be your B-roll video. So for example, it says right here, let's see, right there, if your subject demonstrates something that they talked about, that's a bonus and will make your biography more interesting. So to do for day 6, all you had to do was write a 1-sentence summary of what you completed yesterday. So that was pretty simple. And then if you still are unsure of what B-roll is, look up any news broadcast ever. And then watch the video, watch them talk about it. We actually watched one in class. Watch them talk about whatever their subject is. And then when they cut to the reporter will do a little fluff piece while they're standing out in, wherever they're going to be doing the interview or wherever they're going to be doing the story from. But then as soon as the reporter, or while the reporter is talking, it's going to cut to video of what they're talking about. And so that's the B-roll. The B-roll is the video of like whatever is being talked about. And that's why you're structuring your questions in a way so that you know what the B-roll is going to be of. Even before you do your interview, you know what your B-roll video is going to be. So you can already shoot that, which is what you should have done yesterday. All right, today you should have been interviewing. And you can use your camera, your cell phone. If you have an actual standalone camera, that's great. If you don't, then cell phone camera works perfectly fine. I mean, all of us have these, cell phones here, and the camera quality on them is pretty amazing. You just have to make sure that your lighting is really good. I know that the weather outside is terrible, but if you could do it outside, that's great because that's the best lighting that you're going to get. Otherwise, find a really nice, brightly lit place in your house to do your actual interview. And make sure that you are, if you want to watch that right there, it's got some good tips for how to set your shots up. Now, this one is done with a much more professional camera and things like that, but the way to set up your shot is the exact same, whether you've got a $50,000 camera or whether you've got, a couple $100 phone. Setting up the shot holds true with everything. Moving on to day 8 and day 9. Those are editing days, as well as 10. Day 8 and day 9, you should be putting all of your stuff together. If you've got questions with any of the editing software that I posted, then shoot me an email, shoot me a text, shoot me a remind message. I'm about to send you all a remind group invitation momentarily. But iMovie is amazing if you've got an iPhone. I mean, it literally is like using Final Cut Pro, or like a dumbed down version of Final Cut Pro on your phone. If you don't have an iPhone, or you don't have an iPhone that will run iMovie, then you can get something that's super simple, like the GoPro Quick app. It's a little bit more difficult to, cut and paste and like trim your videos up, but it's still doable. I posted a video example in my in our Google Classroom to show you what you can do. I mean, it literally took me 10 minutes, and it made a little 2-minute video of video and pictures from our Athens trip. But once again, day 8, day 9, write a 1-sentence update of your progress. So you're continuing to add to that document that you started on day 1. Day 10, It says complete editing your video. This is on Friday. Arrange your answers first and then add your B-roll where appropriate. So you're going to ask the question. So like your person's going to be on camera. You're going to ask the question and then they're going to answer. You don't have to have the audio of you asking the question in your video. You can just cut it down to their answer, which will make your video a lot shorter. But during, like when they start talking, you know, you want to have the camera on them when they first start talking, and then you can switch to your B-roll right here where it says then add your B-roll where appropriate. If you want to add your voiceovers, like you asking the question, then go right ahead, but you do not have to. Export your video. I don't know how long these videos are going to be. I mean, you're asking 15 questions and they're going to be answering with, you know, hopefully more than one word answers, and you're going to be showing B-roll. So we're looking at least 2 to 3 minutes, possibly longer of these videos. So once you get it done, you're going to export it. And each one of those apps has a different way of exporting. And I posted tutorial videos on every one of the apps in our Google Classroom. So depending on which one you've got and you don't know how to do something, watch that tutorial video and it will help you out. You're going to upload it to Google Classroom. If it's too big and your internet connection at home is not the greatest in the world, then just shoot me an email and say, you know, what's going on. If Google Classroom will not let you upload it, you always can upload it to YouTube. YouTube, if you don't have an account, I suggest that you go ahead and create one. And if you can upload it to YouTube, even with a brand new account that you haven't verified, you can still upload a video that is up to 15 minutes long. So once you verify it, you can upload unlimited amounts of time, but you can upload up to 15 minutes with an unverified YouTube account. So if you just want to create one for this project, go for it. But somehow you need to get that video to me. If you can't get the video to me, then we'll have to figure out a way to get this thing turned in. If it's not something that's available, you can't upload it to Google Classroom or your Google Drive and share it with me. You can't upload it to YouTube. Then shoot me an email, shoot me a text, send me a message on Remind and say, Coach Hurst, I'm having issues, and we'll figure out some way for you to get this thing turned in. But I want to make sure everybody understands everyone is responsible for a video. It's not going to be, this is not a group project. This is an individual assignment. If you don't turn in a video, then, you know, you're up a creek without a paddle. Unless you and I have talked previously and there are extenuating circumstances as to why you can't upload it or, you know, something like that. Right here it says you can also email me if you're having trouble. Don't stress, guys. That's the biggest thing. Like a lot of you have been emailing me freaking out. Emma's granddad has talked to me several times at school. None of those things are cause for concern. Like just continue working on it. You still have the rest of today and, you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to actually get this thing done. Which you should be editing and uploading. And if you've done a good job in your planning stages and you did a good job while you're filming, then editing shouldn't take you 3 days. I mean, you should be able to edit that sucker in 10 to 15 minutes and have it ready to upload. And then if you've got questions, shoot me questions and then go back and make any changes to the video that you think need to be done. Right here it says the final video should include the subject on the screen answering questions, and they need to be framed correctly. Remember headroom, lead room, well, not lead room. I mean, unless they're in motion. If you figured out a way to make it cool and have them in motion, then yeah, you need to worry about lead room. But definitely headroom and nose room. Make sure that you are keeping those in mind. Because the framed correctly is going to be a big part of your grade. Considering that we're not really doing a lot of fancy editing with this, I'm going to make sure that the biggest portion of your grade is going to come from how your video looks. And then your B-roll, at least 10 shots that relate to what the subject is talking about. So you should have already shot your B-roll based on what your questions are going to be. And that's the thing with an interview. You don't know what their answers are going to be, but you can structure your questions so that you're leading them to the answer that you want them to give, especially if it's somebody you know. And most of you are interviewing parents or family members, so you should have a good idea of what their answer is going to be. So that is that. Let me stop sharing the screen. All right, so some final thoughts. Once again, don't stress. You've got plenty of time to get it into me. Once again, you've got 3.5 days left to get this thing turned in, and the actual due date for the project is not until midnight on Friday. So that is when the scheduled time is for you to turn it in, and that's when it will shut off. Make sure that you are updating that document that you were to create in your Google Drive and answering all the questions. Head them up with day 1, day 2, blah, 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 and make sure that you are doing the stuff for those things. Because not only will I be grading your video, I'll also be grading that document to make sure that you followed instructions. Especially since we're going to be missing even more school. We're not actually cleared to go back to school until April 13th now. This is the new normal, and we're going to have to get used to being able to do this as well. Now for third period, I'm posting a Zoom meeting for you guys tomorrow. And I will send out the invite and the link for that and the password and all that fun stuff in Google Classroom. And first period, no, not first period, second period, your meeting will be on Thursday, and I will post that as well. And hopefully you guys can connect and we can just chat and see if anybody's having any problems or anything like that. And I can answer in a face-to-face, well, at least a video conference to video conference format instead of just trying to answer questions and emails as they come in. If you've got any other questions, shoot me an email, send me a text. I'm going to make a remind. So as soon as you get that, join the remind group, and then you can shoot me a remind message that way. So I hope to see you guys as soon as possible. Maybe we'll go back to school at one point. Hopefully, I will see you guys before too soon, before too long. There we go. All right. Peace out.